to mark this auspicious event with a lamp lighting ceremony. I would request Professor B.S. Murty and the guests to inaugurate this session by lighting the lamp.
आरोग्यं धनसम्पदा शुभं कुरु कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपज्योतिर्परब्रह्म दीपज्योतिर्जनार्दनः दीपो हरते बाबा सन्ध्यादीपनमोऽस्तुते ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्थं ज्योतिषान्तगुराख्यः ओ दीपब्रह्मरूपस्थं ज्योतिषान्तगुराख्यः ते पुत्रांश पतिं स्वच्छामि मे सदा रवेरस्तं तावत्सु
I now invite Professor B.S.S. Daniel, Head of Metallurgical and Metals Engineering Department, IIT Roorkee, to deliver the welcome address. Kindly give him a big round of applause.
Good morning, and formally a great welcome to each one of you to the first Professor Subrata Endowment Lecture. I am very glad that Professor B.S. Murty, the Director of IIT Hyderabad, is here with us, and also Professor Subrata himself is here, which is a great honor for the department as well. And we are also thankful to Professor Preeta Pant. She has come from IIT Bombay. And also a very, very special welcome to Mr. Sujit Kispota, who is also the Assistant Vice President of Messrs. Agarwal Foundries, whom you know sponsored our Research Scholars Day. So we have packaged it in a manner which is fitting, because Professor Ray for us embodies not only a very good teacher, but also to several of us a good mentor and a guide, and not only for students, but also for his colleagues. So in fact, when I started my headship, this was one thing I wanted to do. But I'm very glad that there was a very nice response from the alumni, and we are very glad to have that after Professor M.L. Kapoor Endowment Lecture, we are able to start the Professor Subrata Endowment Lecture. And also the alumni are telling me this is very fitting that now Professor Ray's name is embedded with the department in a very special way. So very thankful to each one of you on the dais. And the speaker of today is well known to all of you. I know him as a senior student. I mean, at IISc, he was doing PhD, I was doing my master's. And I have seen him work like anything. I mean, as PhD, as faculty members, it's a kind of dream to get that kind of a student. And I can tell you, his supervisor didn't want to let him go. So, but that's a different story. But he has grown from that rich experience into, a very good teacher who's popular on YouTube as well. And also as a very, very dynamic administrator at IIT Hyderabad currently. And we had a meeting yesterday with the faculty where he was sharing some of the ideas. And I can tell you, I was worried that some of them might resign from here and join IIT Hyderabad because Professor Murty was giving an open invitation to visit Hyderabad. So, uh, so with that short introduction, I would like to allow this program to continue. Thank you, all of you, for coming, and I'm sure you will be richly rewarded. God bless.
Thank you, Professor Daniel, for opening this Professor Subrata Endowment Lecture Series. We will now formally welcome our guest. I invite Professor A.K. Sharma, Dean of Faculty Affairs, to felicitate our chief guest, Professor B.S. Murty, Director IIT Hyderabad. Please give a warm welcome with a huge round of applause. I also request Professor A.K. Sharma to felicitate Professor Subrata, former professor IIT Roorkee. Thank you, Professor A.K. Sharma. I invite Professor Arka Leri to felicitate Sri Sujit Kispota, Assistant Vice President, Agrawal Foundries Private Limited. I invite Professor Daniel, Head of Department, to felicitate Professor Prita Pant, IIT Bombay. I now invite Professor Daniel to felicitate Professor A.K. Sharma, Dean of Faculty Affairs, IIT Roorkee. Now it's time to break the suspense regarding the winners of oral and poster presentation or competition recently held on Research Scholar Day by MMED IITR with the generous support of Agrawal Foundries Private Limited. Without further ado, I invite Professor Arka Lehri to announce the prize winners. Along with, I also request Sri Sujit Kispota, Assistant Vice President, Agrawal Foundries, to give away the prizes. Kindly welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Thank you, Anu. So before I go ahead and break the suspense, I think it's very important to acknowledge the support extended by Agarwal Foundries Private Limited. Without the generous support, it wouldn't have been possible to hold RSD Research Scholar Day 2024. So big round of applause for Mr. Kispota as well. Okay, so I'll begin with the prizes for the oral presentations. For the third prize in the oral presentation category goes to Shaila Mir. The second prize in the oral presentation category goes to Jyoti Ranjan Sahu. And finally, the first prize in the oral presentation category goes to Anupama Kashyap. Moving on to the poster category. So the third prize for the poster presentation goes to Ganesh Shankar Bhandari. The second prize winner in the poster presentation category is Nilesh Dorkar. And finally, the first prize winner in the poster presentation category is Surajit Samanta. So thanks to all of you for this opportunity to organize a Research Scholar Day. And now over to you, Anu.
A very big thanks to all the organizers for this event. It was a grand success. Thanks to MS Agrawal Foundry Private Limited for their sponsorship. Next, I invite Professor Preeta Pant, Metal Science and Metallurgical Engineering Professor at IIT Bombay, to introduce Professor Subrata. Kindly welcome her with a huge round of applause.
Hi, good morning. For me, it's always nice coming here because I was a student here many years ago, and I like coming back. So thanks to Daniel for organizing this and for making me part of this. Um, Let me start with the formal introduction of Professor Ray, which I had to write down because those things I will not remember. So Professor Ray obtained his bachelor's degree from B College, Shibpur, and he received a gold medal from Calcutta University. He obtained his MTech and PhD degrees from IIT Kanpur. And there are lots of interesting stories he tells of his days at IIT Kanpur. He's worked in NAL Bangalore and in NPL Delhi before joining what used to be University of Roorkee. He has also held visiting faculty positions at University of Wisconsin-Madison in US, at TU Berlin in Germany, at Institut National Polytechnique de Grenoble in France. At IIT Roorkee, he has been the head of the department. He's been the Dean of Administration, and he's been the Dean of SRIC, or SRIC as it is called. He's also been a visiting distinguished professor at IIT Mandi when it was just starting up. And his experience as an administrator and as an educator was invaluable while setting up a new institute. So that's the formal part of the introduction. But I'm here because he was my teacher and he continues to be my mentor. And what I learned from him was that a teacher is a lot more than the sum of the positions that they've held, the degrees that they've acquired, the papers they publish, and what their H index is. You know, they say that children learn more from who you are than from what you teach. And he inspired us with his own curiosity to learn and to explore new areas of research. In fact, many students pursued a career in research because of his motivation, and I'm one of those students. And as they say, my life changed because of this. So, you know, when we say good education is transformative, I think in addition to what we teach, the curriculum, there is also who teaches it and how they teach. So it's professors like him who have had a life-changing impact on students. And it's not just me, I'm just a representative here today for the many alumni in India, in US, who have attested to the fact that he altered the course of their lives. And for that, we are, you know, you don't, gratitude is not a big enough word to encompass the effect that such teachers have had on you. The aim of this lecture series, I think, is to excite more students, you know, students like the ones who are here, by talks in cutting edge areas of material science. And we believe that this is an apt expression of our appreciation for a teacher who has set us on a lifelong path of learning. And I, for one, am very grateful for what I do, for being an academic, because it's the most fulfilling career in the world. So thank you very much. Thank you to Daniel for sort of seeding this idea. It was at some conference and for seeing it through. I also want to thank the Dean Alumni Office. They were very cooperative. And also the IIT Foundation in the US. Mr. Nair is there and Mr. Chandan is their treasurer. They sort of handheld us through the paperwork and the various, you know, things that are needed to put such a things in place. So thank you again. And I'm so happy that this is happening today.
Thank you, Professor Pritapant. Now I invite Professor Subrata, our guest of honor and former professor IIT Roorkee, to share his thoughts on the occasion. Kindly welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Our chief guest, Professor Murty, and Professor Daniel, our great industry friend who is supporting us till now, Professor Sharma, then Preeta and Professor Orko, whom I have not met earlier, although I know he's a supervisor very well. It was a pleasant surprise to hear that I left a fond memory in the mind of my students as a teacher. I thought that I was so demanding, they might be despising me. But then we do it for their good, and that students don't realize often when they are undergoing the courses. But later, they become very good friends when they recognize that teachers are strict because they want you to prosper. And as a teacher, I don't think as a teacher and researcher, there is nothing special or extraordinary about me. And this endowment, which they have created, I take it as an expression of teacher-student relationship that I hold very dearly. And that's why I accepted it. Otherwise, I would have discouraged them totally. You know, I thought that I will tell a few things about my becoming from my student days, my becoming what I have become today. In my undergraduate, like all of you, I'm addressing particularly the students. When you come, you want to become a professional. And in that, you don't care much about knowledge or learning. You want to, have a good career, and you learned all the shortcuts, how to get good grades with least of efforts. I was also like you in my undergraduate. But when I came to IIT Kanpur, that environment in the initial days of IIT Kanpur was so flexible and so beautiful academic environment that they had. And I became academically inclined and left all my ambition for professional success. And what happened that, they ask you always when you join, when I joined my MTech, that who should be your supervisor? I chose a young professor, Professor P.K. Rohatgi, who came as a visiting professor there. And he, at that time, he devised a new material, which is essentially aluminum graphite, a good friction material. Then he told, why don't you take it further? So, for my dissertation, I worked on aluminum ceramic particulate composite. That was the first time this material was fabricated. And then, we got probably the first patent on this. And in those days, taking patent was not in vogue, but there were Americans in IIT Kanpur, and they were very particular, you must take patent. I thought, fine, let's go for it. And it's a patent jointly shared with IIT Kanpur. But there was another peculiarity of circumstances that I was engulfed with. My supervisor was supposed to leave in 6 months for his assignment in USA. And so what the department suggested that I first do my dissertation and then I'll do the coursework. So I completed my dissertation. After that, my supervisor left, and I became really quite free to do what I want. And you see, IIT Kanpur academic curriculum in those days gave a tremendous flexibility. I could become MTech in metallurgy without taking a single course in metallurgy. That was real great. So, I became very curious about the fundamentals of metals and alloys. So I thought I must study physics and chemistry well to understand that. So I started taking courses in physics like classical mechanics, quantum mechanics, advanced quantum mechanics, and in chemistry, advanced quantum chemistry, ligand field theory. I tried to gain all those knowledge which I didn't have. And then when I joined my MTech, I thought I selected my problem. I thought I'll apply ligand field theory to the alloys and joined a chemist as my primary supervisor, who then within 6 months, probably he could not bear the pressure of having such a student. He left IIT Kanpur and went to join IIT Madras. He became a great professor, vice chancellor of Madras University later. But then he transferred me to the supervisor in Department of Physics, Professor T.V. Ramakrishnan. He is also a very celebrated physicist, to do my PhD. And then I started my work. There, he changed the problem. I tried to see the crystal structure correlated with the atomic structure. It was a very challenging problem at that time and open question of the way. In IIT Kanpur, in those days, we never thought that we have got limitation as an intellectual. We thought that we can, take up the challenging problem of the field, the frontier problem. And then, of course, you are not always so capable. So finally, after 3 years, I found that what I was doing, there was some pitfalls. And then I changed into a new problem. There also, what I tried to do is developing a density functional model for alloys. That way I could finish in 2 years, and then I got my degree from IIT Kanpur. Why I'm mentioning this is essentially, after all, learning is a pain in the neck. But if you give the flexibility, we can find a path of learning where we can enjoy it. It can be a great fun. And I was the first interdisciplinary PhD student of IIT Kanpur. And I continued that tradition. Then I joined NPL. I worked on superconductivity there. Their metallic alloy developed superconductivity. And then finally, I wanted to do teaching, and I joined IIT Roorkee. In those days, the University of Roorkee. What I want to mention, it's very important to also have the capability beyond the conventional area of your specialization. Because then you can see beyond that and in the interdisciplinary areas. And I developed that capability in IIT Kanpur. As a result, when I joined Roorkee, I supervised, teamed up with faculty in chemistry, supervised PhD student in chemistry, PhD student in physics, PhD student in mathematics. Only apart from, of course, supervising PhD students in my own area like metallurgy. So this working in different areas, teaming up with people beyond your core area was great fun. I never got bored because all the time, whenever I did a PhD thesis, after that, I went into a new area and tried to explore it. So that way, I was never a specialist. I'm more of a generalist in the academics. But it gave me great fun. And I never did a thing for career. I wanted to have fun through that. And I had a great experience as a teacher. But I hope that I thought that I have been a very difficult teacher and it was not a great experience for the students. And that's why I'm pleasantly surprised that a lot of students fondly remember about me as a teacher. Of course, now at this moment, I would like to end my talk with a lot of my colleagues. My colleagues in the department, of course, I am very grateful. And my students, all my undergraduate, postgraduate students. A teacher becomes what his students make him to be. So many of you think that it's only teachers are contributing to the students, but you don't know students contribute to the teacher in a big way. As a teacher, our role has got a big conflict. When we go to class to teach a subject, uh, we have to believe in that knowledge. Otherwise, I won't be able to stand in front of a class of students and will be able to teach it with confidence. So, in that way, that the knowledge, existing knowledge, is etched very deep when you try to teach. But when you try to do research, you are supposed to think new. You have to supposed to question that existing knowledge and find a new path. There the students are really great because their mind is not really has not started moving into that group because they learned it new. They are more ready to question that knowledge they have received. And that's why, as a teacher, and when we are doing research, we have to listen to the students carefully and try to identify those places where he is raising questions. And that questions may be a great starting point to find a crack in the existing knowledge and to explore new areas. So students are a great asset in the life of teachers. And beyond that, I'm very, thankful to everybody. And for this, I'm not very used to coming to Limelight myself. So if I would have known earlier they're doing this, trying to raise this endowment from the students, I would have probably stopped them. But now I accept it with all the humility because this is the expression of students' affection for me. And I thank Professor Pita Pant and Professor Daniel. I know they had to do a lot of convincing to get this endowment because I still don't believe that my memory as a teacher may be, so fondly desired. But they have taken great pains to have this endowment. And I value it because it gives us an occasion to invite such wise experts from the country like Professor B.S. Murty, and for us to listen to him to get exposed to the new ideas. So the idea of having endowment lecture is a great idea, and I think we should try to have more endowment lectures in this department and to give us more occasion to talk about the academics and get exposed to new ideas. I thank the head of the department, Professor Daniel. I thank my colleagues in the department, and I thank the authority of IIT Kanpur to accept this endowment. And mostly, I thank all of my students who have made my life an enjoyable experience. Thank you all.
Thank you for your insights, Professor Ray, and highlighting the importance of asking questions for the students. I now request Professor A.K. Sharma, Dean of Faculty Affairs, IIT Roorkee, to introduce our chief guest, Professor B.S. Murty, Director, IIT Hyderabad. Kindly welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Hello, good morning. I welcome you all to this first Professor Ray Endowment Lecture. And it's a great to have Professor Ray here actually on this first endowment lecture. I would like to congratulate the department, Professor Pizza Pant, and others who have really contributed in establishing this. Professor Ray, we had fond memories of, although I did not interact much, but still I remember he has supported research in quite great way. He has been always good supporter. And I remember for the first X-ray machine for macromolecular crystallography, we went to him for his support from the department and from his own side. And he was quite asked us to convince him for how it will be useful for metallurgy department. So we somehow convinced him that how protein crystallography and metals have a great association. And fortunately, he was convinced. And later on, we got the first X-ray machine here. So thank you, sir, for that. It's a great honor to introduce the first speaker and chief guest of this function, Professor B.S. Murty, Director, IIT Hyderabad. He is a metallurgist and material scientist and has been having an illustrious academic and research career. He has pioneered the field of non-equilibrium processing of materials, high entropy alloys, and other advanced materials. He has established a national facility for atom probe tomography at IIT Madras, and with the world's first remotely operated local electrode atom probe. He has established India's first center for in situ and correlative microscopy at IIT Hyderabad. India's first training school for electron microscopy is being set up at the IIT Hyderabad under his leadership. Professor Murty has authored almost 475 plus journal publications, 4 books. He has supervised 55 PhDs, completed about 75 sponsored research projects, and filed 15 plus patents. He is a recipient of numerous awards, including Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Award, and is a fellow of the World Academy of Sciences, Indian National Academy of Engineering, and all the 3 science academies of India. With this introduction, I welcome you, sir, and invite you for this lecture.
Good morning, friends. First of all, congratulations to all those winning those poster and oral prizes. It takes me back to my PhD days, long back. In 88 at IIT Bangalore, we started what is called Research Scholar Symposium. In fact, when it completed 30 years, 2018, I was called to give a special speech, and that reminds us of this kind of research scholar days, the importance of those, and bringing the students together and trying to bring to the world what exactly the exciting things that you are all doing. Congratulations to once again to all of you. And thanks to Preeta for making this happen, an endowment lecture in the name of Professor Subrata Ray. As Professor Ray pointed out and Preeta also pointed out, it is these teachers, because of, if I'm standing in front of you as a teacher, it was because of my teachers. I still remember my BTech days, REC Nagpur, where my teacher, one teacher, Professor Ramarao, if I am a teacher, it is thanks to that gentleman who used to say, I'm here not to cover the syllabus, but to uncover a part of it so that you discover the rest of it. So this was a statement that lingers even today in my ears all the time. So that clearly defines what is the role of a teacher. I keep telling my colleagues, an attendance in a class has to be commanded and not demanded. So if you are considered to be a teacher where whose class the students will feel that if I miss this class, I'm missing something, they will definitely be there in your class. So this is something, there are great teachers that we all have got. And when I went to IIC Bangalore, the first lecture of one teacher made me flat, that I felt that I should do my master's project and if possible the PhD with him. This is Professor S. Ranganathan. And my seniors told me that he will take only one student for the master's project, and that student should be a topper of the class. So I worked hard to become the topper of the class and finally got the opportunity to work with him. So this is how there have been people who inspire all of us, and what we are today, thanks to great such personalities. I am very happy that Preeta and a number of her colleagues have felt the importance of respecting such teachers and starting such kind of events by which you can celebrate their greatness on a yearly manner. Thank you very much. And thanks to Sundar, one day when he called me, Murty, can you please come? I immediately said, I am there. I will be there. So that's the respect that I have to Professor Subrata. Thank you, sir. I never worked with him. He never taught me. But these are words which go from mouth to mouth. And great teachers are those who are omnipresent gods. So you are one of them, sir. Thank you very much. Typically this kind of talks should be technical. As Preeta pointed out, she wanted great material scientists to come and talk about exciting things in material science. But today I felt there is something more important than just metallurgy. And my metallurgy, to a large extent, people do know to some extent. So I thought, let me go out of metallurgy and talk about other experiments that we have been doing. I'm an experimentalist all through. Everybody knows me as an experimentalist. A little bit of thermodynamics I do to support that experiments, but mostly I'm known to be an experimentalist. So last 5 years, we have been trying to do a few experiments towards this, what we call it as Viksit Bharat. Please don't connect any political connotations to this. Our Prime Minister talks about it. But I am a strong believer that India one day should be called a developed country. And in my definition, what is a developed country? A developed country is that where if you go to America, if you go to UK, if you go to Germany, you should see products where it is written made in India. When that happens, we are developed. Until then, in my view, we are not developed. And how does that happen? I have 3 points based on which I'm going to basically connect that ultimate goal where India should have technologies developed in such a way that we are known wherever you go. When I go to Japan, 99, I spent 2 years in Japan. When I talk to many Japanese, they only know Indian curry, okay, and possibly about Indian movies, and nothing beyond. And today, 3 months back, when I went to Japan, and I see that you go in a taxi, you pay to the taxi driver in cash, and you go to a restaurant, you pay at the pay bill desk in cash. Then I told them that we have grown much beyond you, at least in this respect. Okay, we may not be making the best steel of the world, because Japan is known to be making once upon a time at least the best steel of the world. But at least in this, the digital transformation, India has done a lot. Now, a roadside chai wala, you can carry your mobile and pay him through your mobile. And some people even tell me that even beggars are saying, sir, pay it through Google Pay. So, so that at least we have transformed. That is only one aspect. Of course, there are a few other aspects India has done exceedingly well. You think of Chandrayaan. People say the cost that was spent on Chandrayaan was less than a Hollywood movie. And again, that was done because I think wherever technology was denied, India has done exceedingly well. Okay, when I talk of 3 things, space, missile technology, for example, if you talk of BrahMos, if you talk of Agni, many of these things. And if you take atomic energy, 3 areas, India has really done almost shoulder to shoulder to any of those other countries which call themselves as developed countries. But rest of the things, when you talk of automobiles, when you talk of other technologies where you can import, people went on left and right importing it, rather than focusing a lot on how do we indigenously develop and develop things where you put a stamp of yourself outside. How is this possible? How this can be done? One, I strongly believe we need to encourage innovations at the student level. And we need to have, and to do innovations, you need to have a free mind, a balanced mind and a free mind. Okay, and free mind comes when there is more freedom in what they study. Professor Ray pointed out that IIT Kanpur used to allow them to do everything. Like Tata Steel says, we also make steel. So IIT Kanpur Metallurgy Department says, we also teach metallurgy, or we also allow our students to learn metallurgy a little bit. Okay, so that is something that we should be able to. When you have a free mind, innovations come. And when innovations come, then technologies come. And third is working together. Somehow in India, we have not strongly demonstrated, excepting as I again go back to places like ISRO, that working together. I mean, many a times we see that faculty does not work even within their own department with other faculty. And we as individuals are great, but we as together never demonstrated that we are very great. And this working together and bringing strong collaborations is the only way, in my view, which we can grow. I strongly believe that collaborations bring a lot of synergy, and synergy can make 1 + 1 significantly greater than 2. And this is something that we need to learn if India has to become. So in these three areas, a little bit of experiments that we have done at IIT Hyderabad, I want to share with all of you so that possibly you can ponder over it and see how we can replicate some of these ideas in every place to see that India one day soon, our Prime Minister has already given a deadline for us, 2047, and I hope we will be able to achieve it much faster than that, if not later. So what are these three? So first and foremost, as I told you, there has to be a freedom. I strongly believe education should be student-centric. There should be flexibility, there should be freedom. And many a times when at least I studied at least in the places where I studied, I did not see that to a large extent. We have most of the time very straight-jacketed learning. So a few things that we have done at the undergraduate level, particularly at IIT Hyderabad. For example, we started what is called fractal academics at IIT Hyderabad. Possibly this is the only IIT which follows this, which US and other places possibly call it as micro credentials, and where we can even have a half a credit or a 1 credit. In fact, our whole semester at IIT Hyderabad is broken into 6 segments. Typically, all of you go through 3 credit courses. So if we break it into 6, that means you can have a half a credit course. So we have 1-2 segment, 3-4 segment, and 5-6 segment. Students can take any half a credit courses or 1 credit courses. Particularly in the first year, we ask our students to take a large number of 1 credit, half a credit courses so that you explore. Because up to you join your BTech, you only know physics, chemistry, maths. You don't know much about engineering, and quite a number of people join the branch that they join or aspire for a particular branch because of a lot of social pressures, okay, parents and things like that. Very recently, I was addressing the first year students who joined IIT Hyderabad, and I told their parents, if everybody wants their kid to be a computer science fellow, and if the whole country converts into a large number of these computer scientists, no country can ever become a developed country. You think of any country, for example, Germany, Taiwan, even a small country like Taiwan, Japan, and any other country. They have all become developed countries because they focused on technologies. Okay, as I mentioned to you in the beginning, that focus on technology is the one which makes you a superpower. No country has ever become a superpower just by being a computer science oriented country. So I don't think that's the solution. We need to find out how, like every organ of our body is equally important. So every branch of engineering has its importance, and one has to realize that, one has to nurture that. This is very important. So coming to that, so we thought that let us allow students to explore, and then whatever they like, let them go deeper. And this is typically called the T-type learning. Okay, that is something which is nurtured a lot at IIT Hyderabad. We also started saying that we learned too much of metallurgy as a metallurgy student or as a mechanical student or so. So we now limited at IIT Hyderabad that your department or your major can only give you 60% of the total credits. Rest of the 40% should come from outside the department. Okay, 10% basic sciences, 10% basic engineering, 10% liberal arts and creative arts. We have created a big basket of courses, including dramatics, music, dance, painting, even martial arts, personality development, yoga, and so on and so forth. That unless a student does 10% of their total credits in this basket, the student does not get the degree. So we kind of mandated the student has to have a overall development. Okay, as we always say, we mostly nurture our left brain to a large extent, leaving the right brain a little less nurtured. It is important that your right brain and left brain have to work together if you want to really become a great CEO of a company or a great leader for that matter. So it's important to nurture. And then 10% of our credits are what are called free electives. So we ensure that there is a lot of what is called outside your departmental learning. And we strongly believe that. And this is something which has started helping students to be able to spread a little more and grow beyond their branch. And Professor Subrata pointed out what is the importance of learning a larger number. I always say that your knowledge should be never a delta function. It should be like a Gaussian distribution where you have a peak, but it never goes to zero anywhere. So that means you have some knowledge of everything. This is something which is very important. Then we also started thinking, how do we nurture innovations? Okay, we started saying every semester now we call for proposals from our students. Majority of them who put proposals are undergraduate students, of course. It's open to all the students. We call them as build projects, bold and unique ideas leading to development. Typically in the first beginning, August and January is when we do that. And if a student's project is chosen, we say we give you 1 lakh rupee to begin with and provide a mentor. We have now a building ready, which we call it as TIP, Technology Innovation Park, 1.5 lakh square foot area building we have built just for these startups. Any student can get a space freely there. In fact, we have one more building of a similar size, which is called TRP, Technology Research Park, where any industry can take a space and collaborate with us. So that's as far as collaborations are concerned, whereas a TIP is just meant for that. We went one step further and said that if you think your courses are really disturbing you to work on your innovative idea, take a semester break. And we give you 6 credits. At the end of the 6 months, during which you will never do any course at all, just focus on your dream idea. And I was coming from South, I say that 11th and 12th, particularly every student goes to the so-called Chaitanya Narayana kind of course schools, where none of your innovative ideas are given any importance. And we say that let's explore now. Okay, we removed branch change option. We said that again, you come here, again, first year you work hard to get a 9.5 CGPA to get into something which you possibly want to be in. We say, let's remove that hassle of working hard in the first year to get such a high CGPA, but give the flexibility to them, saying that you can do a double major in any branch of your choice. Okay, every branch at IIT Hyderabad has a double major now, in addition to the minor. So we say that now even a first semester BTech student can take a semester break. Just work on your innovative idea. So that at the end, you submit a small report, we conduct a viva, give a grade, and the remaining 10 credits or so, you distribute in the rest of the semesters and finish everything within 4 years. We went one step further to say, if a student says, sir, I have learned whatever I wanted to in the first 2 years, okay, can I go out now? So we say that if you have finished 50% of your credits, now you take a diploma and go out, and we will give you 5 years time if you want to come back and complete the remaining 50% of the credits. And if you don't want to come back, we'll be the happiest because you have found something within the 2 years that you can rely on for your rest of your life. Okay. So this is something which we felt is important to create minds which think out of the box and be able to nurture their minds. And you see, there are great, people who have who have created empires without having a degree from a college. Okay, we know Steve Jobs is one, Bill Gates is another. So can we create such kind of personalities from our own students is something that we started thinking. So these are all ways, and because of which now I can say in the last 5 years, IIT Hyderabad has close to about 200 startups which have created more than 1500 crores of revenue. 1500 crores of revenue and created more than 1100 jobs. A second year student comes and tells me, sir, yesterday I paid salary to 5 of my employees. These are all students sitting in the campus, in their hostels, doing various things. So this is something which I felt for Viksit Bharat, it is very, very important. If at that age, if you can make your mind think of things beyond your classroom. So this is one aspect that I thought I will talk. Second aspect is how do we develop technologies? To develop technologies, you need to work very closely with industries. Many a times we see that academia do not work very closely with industry. Each of us keep blaming the other side, which is very easy to do that. And we thought, how do we come closer? So certain things we started. For example, most of IITs until recently have only semester, what is called summer break as interns. Okay. So you have a 2 months internship typically. So we removed in our curriculum in one of the semesters, 6th or 7th, depending on the which semester the department wants, removed all the core courses, put only electives so that a student can go for a semester long internship. Okay. A 6th semester is typically what is done. So from almost January to July, a student can go anywhere they want. Okay. And that way, we see that the student gets associated with an industry, solves a problem, and the industry also gets benefited out of it, and the student also gets more benefited. And this has 6 credits. It's a credited internship. The student again comes back, submits a small report, we conduct a viva, give a grade. And remaining credits, the student distributes in the other semesters, finishes the whole thing within the same 4 years. So this way, your connection with the industry, I mean, as people say, nothing succeeds like success. A small successes like this, one small problem of an industry you solve, the industry will be behind you. Okay. In fact, now we see there is a big queue of industries coming to IIT Hyderabad to seek these students. 50% of our UG students are all going for semester-long internship now. It's all optional, of course. Okay, and then next step we start saying that how do we bring these industries to IIT to ensure that we start working together? So we started 1 credit course called Industry Lectures as a mandatory course for masters and made it optional for even undergraduate students to attend. Okay, the intention is that the master students do industry projects as their 1-year project. UG's project is not mandatory, that we all know. So as a result, we thought, let us start this with industry, with MTechs. So that way we see that these industries come. It's a 1 credit course, means typically 14 hours of teaching. So 14 industries come to each branch of engineering, let's say, and they start talking about what is exciting at their place. At the end, we ask them, do you have any problems that our master students can solve in 1 year? Okay, they give us a list, and now we pass it on to our students. And as of today, I can confidently say more than 50% of our MTech students are doing their MTech projects which are industry defined problems rather than a faculty defined problems. I started requesting my faculty that for about 3-4 years at least, you leave it this way. Okay, so that don't demand anything from the industry side. Otherwise, faculty will say, why should I guide the student? What am I getting out of it? I say that once you demonstrate a small success, the industry will be behind you. And at that time, you will start getting industry projects more and more. And then you will start seeing such a collaboration will start. And we are seeing this happening. In fact, this year, 23-24, we have our research funding has become 250 crores. Okay, for a second generation IIT, which is just 15 years old, 250 crores in 1 year is not a small amount. And in this 250 crores, almost 40% is coming from industry. Okay, so this is something which we started already seeing some results of it, 30 to 40%, exact number I don't remember, but that is somewhere that is. So we started seeing how do we work together. One more thing we said is that why don't we go close to the industry by doing outreach programs to them. We started online MTech programs. We tell these industry people that I know that you are all busy guys. For you to get a 1 year leave or 2 years leave, to get an MTech degree from an IIT is not so easy from your industry. So we teach you in the evening hours and Saturdays, and we give you 4 years time for a 2-year MTech and do at leisure. Okay, you come to IIT only on the day of convocation, just to collect your degree certificate. And we see now we have almost 10 such online MTech programs. There are so many who are interested in it. For example, we offer something called industrial metallurgy. When we started this, 500 people applied for it. We selected 25 out of that 500. Okay, so there are large number of people out there who are interested. We went one step further. We said, let us take education to every doorstep. Okay, I'm again a strong believer that education should not have barriers. I'm sitting in some corner of the world and I want to just learn one course on quantum mechanics. I don't want to get a degree on quantum mechanics. Just I want to learn one course. Nowadays, as of today, if you want to learn even one course to a large extent, you need to register for a degree. And then somebody will ask what entrance exam you have written. Okay, and so many constraints of this is the prerequisite, that is the prerequisite. Okay, and we said, can we not have anybody who is interested to learn? To learn. Learning should be free, that you should be able to learn whatever you want to learn. Anybody should be able to learn. So we started what is called OAT, open to all teaching. Okay, where we say we converted all our classrooms into hybrid classrooms. Now I started asking my faculty, friends, are you interested to teach your regular course to an outsider? Whatever you are teaching to your class, I teach thermodynamics, for example. So can I allow it outsiders to join? Once the faculty says yes, we can have physically a few students, virtually a few students. Live, they are going to sit. This is not NPTEL. Okay, NPTEL is more like a passive way of learning. You just listen to those video lectures. But here you are in the class almost, that you can ask questions, you can see what the teacher is teaching, and live be participating in this. So now, whenever the teacher says yes, we put it on our website. Here is a course, here is the course content, and this is a timetable. As long as the timetable suits you, you can be from Australia, Argentina, it doesn't matter. Okay, we say anybody can join. It can be a student, it can be a professor, it can be a working professional, it can be even a 80-year-old man or a woman. I tell my colleagues that control the exit, not the entry. Okay, as long as your course is tough enough that everybody who joins the course need not have to pass, and only when they pass, they get a certificate from IIT Hyderabad saying that you have done this course with these many credits, and this is the grade you got. And now we see we have close to about 20 such courses at IIT Hyderabad, which are being run in this OAT mode. And we are now very soon going to offer a number of minors to outsiders. You do just one course, you get one certificate. If you do 12 credits, you will get a minor in something. Design department is coming up with one minor like that. Entrepreneurship department is coming up with one minor like that. Metallurgy department wants to come up with something on lightweighting very soon as a minor for anybody who wants to learn. So there are innumerous ways. We said, let us become a Vishwa Guru. Once upon a time, we hear that people used to come to India to learn. Nalanda, Takshashila, we keep hearing. Okay, now we have technology available. Nobody need to come anywhere. Can we reach to everybody who wants to learn? Okay, and this is another way where you can ensure that people develop their knowledge. All now we talk about is reskilling, upskilling, and so on and so forth, which is essential in any technology domain that you want to grow. So this is the second point that I want to mention, that working together with industry is very crucial. We are now brought a number of industry-oriented programs. For example, we felt that chemical engineers, while they are very strong in engineering, their chemistry knowledge is not very strong. Okay, we started talking to a number of industry people. For example, textile industry, even food processing industry, agriculture industry, even petrochemical industry. They want engineers with a lot of chemistry background. They don't want MSc chemistry people to a large extent. They want engineers. So when we started talking to these people, particularly during COVID, we started doing a lot of brainstorming with industries. Started asking ourselves, what does India want? What kind of programs the India needs? And we felt that there is a need for that. Immediately we started a BTech in industrial chemistry. We felt that while computer science people are very important for the country, but we also see that in manufacturing industry, you need people who are computational oriented. For example, you need CFD people, you need people with FEM background, and so on and so forth. So we started a BTech in computational engineering. This is the first possibly an interdisciplinary BTech program in an IIT system. Here, faculty from civil, mechanical, chemical, metallurgy, even bio teach. We start with the basic foundations of numerical methods, and on top of it teach solid mechanics, fluid mechanics, multi-scale modeling, even first principle calculations, genomics, and so on and so forth. We don't teach Java, C++. That anyway students will learn. Okay, so we thought, let us create such people. Now we have a 4-year BTech program called computational engineering. And similarly, when India started talking about semiconductors, that Tata Group has already started planning for a big fab facility in India. We started thinking, where are the engineers for these semiconductors? We have BTech in ECE, BTech in EE, and nothing beyond. So we started a BTech program. In fact, May 1st, the government of India announced 2022 what is called India Semiconductor Mission. I met a gentleman by name Professor Rao Tummala. He comes from Georgia Tech. He is considered as the father of packaging, semiconductor packaging. He says, Murty, I am working for 35 years on this. I have more than 100 patents in this area. But I could not start a master's program on packaging at Georgia Tech. Can you think of it? Okay. We said, we will take it up. Okay. In 3 months, from May 1st to August 1st, we had the curriculum ready, got it approved in the Senate and announced it, and classes started on August 1st. An MTech in packaging, for your information. On the same day, we also started a BTech in IC design and technology. And that is the first such program. And in fact, our curriculum has been taken by AICTE. Last year, 2023, AICTE has started the same curriculum in 125 engineering colleges, which are under AICTE. With the same program, thinking that in 4 or 5 years down the line, we should have thousands of people who are being, getting ready for the fabs that are going to come. So it's important, friends, to start looking at what does India need? How do we make India technological superpower? And as academicians, our job is to create the real human resources towards that. In fact, last 2 months, we said, okay, we are teaching all these semiconductors, but where is the hands-on training? Because do we have people with a hands-on fab knowledge coming out of these programs? Because we don't have fabs in India. So we tied up with Purdue, we tied up with NTHU in Taiwan, and we started one more program, which is called training students on semiconductor manufacturing. Okay. We started a 3-phase program where one phase is a 1-week workshop. We said any engineering student in the branches of EE, ECE, and mechanical engineering materials can register for it. 650 students registered for it. And at the end of the 1-week program, we shortlisted about 65 of them. And then these 65 were brought to IIT Hyderabad. A 3-week hands-on training was given on our clean room, and then picked up 45 out of them. 20 people went to Purdue, 25 people went to NTHU, for a 2 weeks hands-on training in their fab facilities. And we want to repeat this every quarter to generate around 200 people in the next 2 years who have hands-on experience on the fabs. And now we have just now submitted a proposal to set up what is called semiconductor training school at IIT Hyderabad, where we are going to train 1,000 students a year on semiconductors with all the necessary facilities that are going to be set up. Hopefully ANRF will take this up very seriously and something will come out of it. So there is a need, friends, that we need to create the right kind of engineers who start thinking of how to make this country really a technological superpower. And that's the direction I feel all of us should work together and ensure that one day when you go to Japan, they not only talk about Indian curry, but talk about Indian technology. I think that's the direction I think all of us should move. A few experiments that we have done, I can keep talking like this, but I think I have to rush to Delhi now. So thank you very much for this opportunity. And I'm sure this will kindle some interest in all of you to start thinking, how do we make? I mean, this nationalistic feeling is very, very crucial in all of us. Now, I remember people talking about when Japan got devastated after the Second World War. They passionately built the country. Okay, this building the country should be very, very seriously taken by all of us, rather than just thinking about ourselves. We should think that we are a part of the country, and the country should come first for all of us. And when that day happens, I'm sure India would soon become a developed country, a Viksit Bharat. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. We are used to listening to you to bring in the transformations in materials to realize unique properties. Now it's pleasure listening to you, the kind of transformations needed in our higher education system. So now the talk is open for any discussion or any questions from audience.
Sir, first of all, great listening to what you are doing in IIT Hyderabad. Second, thanks for actually talking about UPI being developed for the country. So I actually come from a DPI background where we are making a global DPI. I would actually want to ask you about how can actually these center of excellence come research park type of things come into place, what merge in a collaborative approach towards academia, investors, industries, as well as entrepreneurs coming in through both digital as well as non-digital technologies as fields. Something like what IIT Hyderabad is playing as a role in making this deep tech space more inclusive for people. So there are huge research facilities available there. So how can we actually make such things available for even other institutes?
Thank you. So first and foremost is to attract the industries to come. You need to create an environment. Please sit down, please sit down. Okay. And as you rightly said, facilities. Okay. Yesterday I was talking to our faculty here. And at IIT Hyderabad, many of you possibly must have heard of that PSA, Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India, about 2 years back or so, started a portal called iSTEM. iSTEM is a portal where any institute can put a facility that they have on that portal for anybody in the country to use it. IIT Hyderabad, we have put 480 equipment on that portal, costing anything more than 20 lakhs. Okay, and possibly the largest by any institute so far. And we said, let anybody use it. In fact, we raised last year 2.5 crores from that usage alone. Okay, and then we started building facilities. For example, right now we have a facility which is called an atom probe tomography facility at IIT Hyderabad. There are only 5 pieces of it in the whole world. 4 in Korea, Samsung has bought it. 1 in Japan. The 6th piece is at IIT Hyderabad. I'm confident in saying that none of the US universities have that facility.
So bring facilities like that, set up facilities like that. One day we should be able to make those facilities. That's the next step. Okay. In fact, I should also tell you that at IIT Hyderabad, we make large scale additively manufactured components. 1 meter by 1 meter by 3 meter size scramjet engine being made at IIT Hyderabad. And in fact, the whole equipment to which can build such a component has been designed at IIT Hyderabad, built at IIT Hyderabad by a local manufacturer. So even that is another direction we should. Once you give such kind of facilities, whenever somebody is coming, put certain conditions to them. For example, we put conditions that certain credit points. So for example, you take an intern, you get certain credit point. You give a project to one of our faculty, you get certain credit points. At the end of the year, if you don't get a minimum certain number of credit points, you have to leave the campus. Okay, while you are paying a rental for the space, at the same time, if you don't engage IIT Hyderabad, you can't stay there anymore. So this engaging them through some kind of means is very important so that you start working together. And once you start doing it, for example, Suzuki has set up what is called Suzuki Innovation Center at IIT Hyderabad, which they say outside Japan, the only R&D center globally that they have is sitting at IIT Hyderabad. So like that, we have a Navy Center of Excellence on our campus. We have a DRDO Center of Excellence on our campus. We have an Air Force Center of Excellence coming up very soon on our campus. So all these are possible when you provide all the facilities that are needed and then ensure that you give the enough right kind of environment. In fact, very recently, we also started, once we have all these facilities, one more thing that I usually observe from UG students, particularly in NITs, is their interest in research is very limited. Okay, they all want to finish BTech and then go for a software job kind of. So particularly I saw this more in Northeast. And so we signed an MOU with 10 NITs now. And we say that you ask your students to finish up to third year at your place, ask them to come to IIT Hyderabad in the fourth year. They spend 1 full year at IIT Hyderabad. Okay, not only doing the coursework, but also working on a project with all these facilities. And our whole intention, we don't take a single rupee from them. We say you pay the tuition fee to your own college. We transfer the credits, you get the degree from them. But what we say is that the whole year you do a project using this facility. And at the end, if somebody like me, when I finish my BTech, I clearly gave it in writing that I am not interested in placements. Because I know what I want to become. That definitely there will be a job waiting for me is something, or possibly I don't need to do a job. There are many students, 25% of our IIT Hyderabad students want to get into startups, BTech students. So that is the kind of environment we want to create. So right now, this year, we have 100 students from NITs. Last year, 30 came. Out of them, 15 of them stayed back with us to do PhD with us. It's not that we are doing this to have them for PhD. We say that let us convert them, transform them. Somebody talked about transformation. Okay, all kinds of transformations are important. This is a transformation that I wanted to see if we can bring in all of them to see that we are more interested in technology development. Some of them taking up startups, some of them getting into research. And this year we have 100. We want to see how they will change. We also have tied up with Kathmandu University. Last year, 10 students, BTech students came from Kathmandu University. This year, 20 students came from Kathmandu University. And we are providing all the IIT facilities to all of them. So this is important, friends, to create such kind of an environment which nurtures technology development through undergraduate students. I mean, brilliant students, our undergraduate students are. You just need to, it's like, as I always say, there is a huge tree inside a seed. Do you see the tree or not? Okay. You see it as a seed or you see it as a tree. If you see a tree there, nurture it. One day it will become a tree. So this is something that we all need to do. Thank you.
So any further questions or remarks from anyone? From the dais, off the dais?
Sir, I'm technical staff.
Okay, good then. Go ahead.
First thing, you have asked students to take up liberal arts, sir, right? और हमारे वैज्ञानिकों में अब्दुल कलाम जी को वीणा पसंद थी और सत्येंद्र नाथ बोस, एस राज पसंद करते। So how do you nurture your creative brain? One thing, and second.
So at IIT Hyderabad, we have courses on music, dance, painting, dramatics. In fact, we have Kathak dancer who comes on a Saturday, Sunday. Saturday morning, 3 hours, afternoon, 3 hours, Sunday morning, 3 hours, afternoon, 3 hours. 12 hours, one credit course is finished. 300, 400 students join that course. Okay. We have a painter who comes from, Bihar. She teaches Madhubani paintings. 1 week course, evening 6 to 7, 7:30 or so she teaches. At the end of 1 week, every student has to paint. 300 paintings. We put a big exhibition. The whole campus comes and sees all of them. Amazing courses. Amazing. I mean, students love this. And these are important for students to, in one way, they are even stress busters for students. Typically, we say, we have a lot of strain and stress in our curricula. So this is one way to come out of these. And at the same time, more importantly, nurture your right brain to develop balance.
So how do you do it?
I do. Okay. I do meditation every day. That's the only thing that I do. Okay. So everybody has only 24 hours, right? You have to plan your 24 hours the way you want to. So this is how I do it.
Thank you.
You have already asked. Somebody else should ask. Yeah. You can always write to me anytime you want. Okay, please.
So we have a lot of students from first year who just joined here for the BTech Metallurgy. Any questions or anything you want to ask?
I thought
see
most
one
of these
hand
are
there.
PhD students.
I see one hand there.
One hand, quick. This is the last. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Hi, sir. I'm a first year student. Today is my first day.
Wow.
As you talked
Congratulations and all the best.
Thank you so much, sir. As you talked about Viksit Bharat, so recently I was reading a report by Hindustan Aeronautical Limited about how the process of Tejas, the indigenous Indian aircraft, got delayed. And while reading it, it made a few comparisons with the Rafale and the Chinese B-20 bomber. And I had a very interesting thing that when you mentioned the Viksit Bharat, that it is not, sorry for the rookie words, but it is not as par with the Rafale and the other B-20 bombers that America and China have built. How we can, we can come with that par in the defense sector, and how we as students can contribute after a few years when we would be on that line.
Very good. Very good. So thanks, please sit down. At IIT Hyderabad, we get connected to a lot of people. For example, we have an Air Force Academy. I have a strong connections with them. So very recently, one of those officers there, they said, sir, we have a problem, live problem. Can some of your students can help us in this? So he told the problem. I immediately sent to all the students. Within 24 hours, I have 7 students who are ready to solve it. And immediately I connected them and they went to that place. And then within 1 week, they were able to solve that problem. So there are numerous opportunities that is possible. So what is important is for the institute to connect you to some of these people who have issues. So, and bring those people and make them address our students and try to see how we connect. There are small issues sometimes because of which they are stuck. Possibly they don't have the technological ideas to solve that. It could be because many a times as you grow older, you get stuck to one particular way of thinking, and you need somebody who thinks out of the box to get into a solution for that. So I think these are possible, and it can be implemented without much difficulty. Thank you.
So thank you very much, sir, for this enriching talk on kind of big transformations which we need to inculcate in higher educational institutes to bring in big changes to realize the Viksit Bharat objectives. So I have a privilege to present vote of thanks at the end of this very important event today. So where we have a connection to basically to the entire event is, the starting from the name of the event, Professor Subrata Endowment Lecture, where the teacher-student relations and the way we can go ahead with that. And Professor Murty talking about the kind of transformations which are essential. So it's really pleasure listening to the great teachers here. So I thank Professor B.S. Murty for taking his time from his busy schedules to visit us and deliver this lecture. So give me a big round of applause. So many thanks to our beloved teacher, Professor Subrata. Although we as a young colleagues in this department have not taken any lectures from you, sir, but we have always heard from many voices that the kind of culture you have built in building the department, in building the institute. So we were fortunate to have your students who are the great administrators later. So we had them working with that. Thank you very much, sir. So anything needs money, so entrepreneurship, ecosystem, everything, even to have this kind of a very, the important events also can only happen when we have a, required financial resources, and somebody has put in heart to create such kind of opportunities for us. So we are very grateful to our proud alumni who generously, contributed to have this endowment lecture. So, and many thanks to Professor Pita Pant for facilitating this entire thing, and and the initiative taken by Professor Daniel, head of the department. So give them a big round of applause. Yeah. So coming to the Research Scholars Day, we are grateful to our Agarwal foundries for generously coming forward to sponsor the event, and taking your time to come here and also to deliver the prizes to our the research scholars and encouraging them. So with this, we are at the end of this the great event. So I thank each and every one of you, the entire IIT Roorkee fraternity, for joining for this important the event and making this realize actually the kind of objectives meant for this kind of lectures and events. So now with this, I request all of you to raise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा अधिनायक हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि पंजाब सिंध गुजरात तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
So last request, I request all the dignitaries to join for one group photo.